We absolutely have to start with the Kyrie circus shot. Mavs beat the Nugs in Dallas. Huge win. Luka came back 37 points, but Kyrie's buzzer beater was absolutely unbelievable. Basically double teamed, threw one up, hook shot offhand with his left hand, not his dominant hand, his left hand, and beat the buzzer over Joker to win the game. Ash, you were there. What was that like?
It was insane. My first Mavs game, it was a great game to be at, obviously. I mean, the finish was amazing. The game in general was going back and forth all game. Jokic is a giant. And I know that's like a weird thing to say because obviously like you see him on TV, but there are just some people you see on TV and you're like, he's not that big, or he's bigger than I thought. Jokic is the latter. He's bigger than I thought. Like he's a freak of nature. Can I just say, like I said, my first Mavs game, great fan base. The arena is absolutely beautiful. It's so well lit. So if you're a girl and you're into taking selfies, like that's the arena doing it. It's incredible. But yeah, such an incredible fan base. Patrick Mahomes was there. And I spoke to a few players like after the game, and they from the Mavs side, and they said Kyrie actually practices that. Just like he just casually practices that entire situation just in case he ever needs it, like, shooting with his left, hook shots, whatever the case may be. He practices these weird scenarios. So actually seeing it happen in a game where something was on the line, in this case, a win or a loss, is not so much of a shock to them, but it was a shock to just actually witness it in a game that mattered because they've seen him do it so many times in practice. But the crowd erupted. Luka jumped him. He hit the floor. The whole, Mavs team, put him at the bottom of the pile. I say this all the time about Kyrie. He's one of my favorite players because he is such a great combination of so many different guys and their skill set. Watching him is like watching poetry in motion. And it's an honor watching him play. He's just so good, so skilled in so many different aspects of the game. It was phenomenal.
Is that how you felt? It was an honor to watch him?
Huh?
I mean, it is an experience to watch him. And look, I am a Kyrie skeptic, but there's no doubting the guy's a marvelous talent. And this is not the first, and it won't be the last time his ridiculous skills come to the fore and in some cases impact the game. I mean, yes, am I a doubter about the Mavericks for a lot of reasons? Kyrie being one of them. Yes, it doesn't subtract from what he did all those years ago in Cleveland against the Warriors when he hit that big shot and Steph missed that big shot. I mean, that lot went into that championship for the Cavs. That was one of them. But one hook shot, it was amazing, by the way. It was really cool. And as a lefty, it's nice to see people sometimes just try the lefty thing. It doesn't erase the last 5 years of Kyrie drama and toxicity and drama. And it doesn't change who he is. And this is the beauty of sports. You can go out and you can change how people perceive you one way or the other. I'm a doubter, but it's not like I'm in a cult on this thing. If he can, the West is so tough. The guy's talented.
It is so tough, but don't look now. All of a sudden, the streaky Mavs are streaking again. They had some problems coming out of the break. Then they got hot again. Then they lost a game. Now, all of a sudden, they've won 5 of their last 6. They beat the Heat, the Warriors, and the Nugs in there. They also beat the Pistons and the Bulls. Not quite as good, but still. That's
the Bulls are playing well, though.
Spot.
The Bulls are actually playing well right now.
They're very
plucky. Not a bad win.
It's not a bad one, but the other two, whatever. But still, 5 out of last 6. The 6, 7, 8 is now tied. Now, the Mavs and the Suns are 1 game back of the Kings in the loss column, but basically grouped in there. Have we decided to change our mind on the Mavs yet again, especially after they just beat the champs like that?
I want John to tell me, because you are the one you are so into whoever's playing well over a stretch, because you've been down on these guys and they're down, up when they're up. I want a commitment. Where are you on these guys? Yeah, when it comes to April, I want us to take our podcast relationship to just like another level higher. Do you buy these guys regardless of what happens over the next 15 games?
I like them better than the Kings. I like them probably as much as the Suns. If you really forced me to pick, I might pick the Mavericks just slightly more. Look, Phoenix, and we're going to talk about them later in the show, not covering themselves in glory against a Giannis-less Bucks team over the weekend. I just think that they're still trying to figure it out. The Mavs, look, here's the way I put it. The Kings, I think, have a pretty low ceiling. The Mavs, who knows what their ceiling is, because when they're hot, they're as hot as anybody. And when they're down, they're as down as anybody. So, yeah, That's why I keep oscillating.
I
think for me, like, obviously, like, beating the reigning champs is a great storyline, and Kyrie doing this while fasting is even more incredible. When I get hangry, I can't even function, let alone play a basketball game. So him doing that while fasting is just a testament to how great he is as a basketball player, as an athlete. But I mean, if you actually watch that game, the Mavs should never have let the Nuggets come back from it, and they did. And it came down to the wire. There was a good chance that they could have lost that game, and it looked like they were going to lose that game through multiple parts of the second half. So while it's impressive, the Nuggets still are the number 2 seed in the Western Conference for a reason, and the Mavs are the 7th seed for a reason. The Mavs are extremely inconsistent. Like John said, when they're really good, they almost make you a believer, but then when they're really bad, you're like, told you it's not going to work. I don't see them more than a second round exit, if that. I just don't think that there's enough there in Dallas to actually make a run against some of the teams that are seated above them for a multitude of reasons. And we've, discussed all of those here on this podcast. So impressive that they beat the Nuggets. Not that impressive because it came down to the wire and a crazy shot from Kyrie, and they were leading that game for most of it. And the Nuggets should have never even been in a position to come back if the Mavs are as good as we think they are, and they're not. So I think that's it's both sides of it.
I mean, it's a big win. And Bill was mentioning, I'm into who's playing well at a certain time of the season. I'm especially into who's playing well towards the end of the regular season, because what happens after the regular season, gang, it turns out it's the playoffs. So that was a very big win for the Mavs on a circus shot. I loved it.